What happens when two strangers with two completely different opinions meet for dinner? In this social experiment, people from all walks of life are paired up with their direct opposite and guided through a menu of questions specifically designed to promote discussion, disagreement and debate. Will they agree to disagree?
You raised the racism thing.
Huh. I'm a female, but I'm not a feminist.
You've just taken a massive leap.
I'm not biologically female and very comfortable with that.
Could they end up bonding over shared life experiences?
I see a smile on your face. What are you thinking right now?
When you put that back to me, it does sound rather foolish.
I admire that so much about you.
Or will it be fireworks from the off?
They are the most outdated thing in the world. I'm not going to accept that comment.
No!
Have you ever thought about being a sex worker?
I'd end up doing more damage than good.
Are you really a traveller?
What a truly obnoxious thing to say.
Do you trust the governments?
Ha! No.
It's a man and a woman make a child. It's just a fact.
This is Eating with the Enemy. This restaurant has opened its doors to a variety of people with a variety of different opinions. Over dinner, two strangers will debate a series of topics that appear at the table to guide the conversation. Watching on are two experts, there to observe the psychological impact of so-called enemies breaking bread together.
The diners are well aware that they're about to become involved in a social experiment, so their bodies and brains are primed for threat.
When we sit down with our opposite, we can be quite apprehensive about that conversation, and that can trigger cortisol, which can shut down the thinking center of the brain.
When our bodies are responding in this fight, flight, freeze way, often we can lose access to the rational side of our brains. Are they going to be triggered easily? Or are they going to remain calm? It's actually really interesting to see what happens.
With the restaurant ready and waiting, let's see who's first to eat with their enemy.
My name is Patrick. Most people call me Pat. I'm living in Navan in County Meath and I'm in my late 50s. I'm just a normal bloke. One of the important values is the value of life. Everybody should be given a chance. Society has changed their values and now I'm in a minority. I'm almost meant to feel ashamed to have the views that I have, but I don't. I don't feel ashamed at all.
Who's here to have dinner with Patrick?
My name is Bláithín. I am 35 and I'm a doctor from County Armagh. My children are my world. I am passionate about celebrating our differences and diversity, and I suppose just spreading a bit of kindness and positivity. I don't think I have a worse quality. I'm quite content in the person I've become. Does that come across very arrogant? No, I think that's just confident. The reason I'm taking part with Eating with the Enemy is because I want my children to grow up in a world where we can believe different things but still be friends. Hello.
Hi.
I'm Bláithín.
Hi, my name is Patrick.
Patrick, nice to meet you, Patrick.
Yeah, call me Pat.
Pat,
It's easier.
lovely. Well, listen, with nicknames already, it's a good start. I was surprised it was an older male. I kind of thought it might be a male. I was surprised he was in his late 50s. So I use she, her pronouns, so it's a good place to start.
Who, he?
Who, he, him.
He, who, her.
He, him. Is that fair enough, Pat? Yeah, perfect. I'm not nervous about the conversation. I have conversations with people every day. I'm hoping I'll learn something.
Bláithín, what three values are most important to you?
I'll let you start, Pat. What do you think?
The basic human right to life. To have a home, and for families, especially these days, you know, to live a normal, comfortable life.
I probably agree with the second one. I feel that everyone has a right to education. Everyone has a right to not go to bed hungry, particularly children. I probably have a different stance in terms of your first answer. Yeah. Can you just explain a wee bit what you meant by that?
Bláithín put the onus on me. Being against something is very hard. You know, it's easy to be for something, even though that it's wrong. Everybody should be able to live their life without threat.
Yeah.
From conception to to the end.
You know, you can have that belief and we don't have to hate each other.
I'm against it, not for the sake of being against it or to limit other people, but to me, it's wrong.
Who's next to eat with their enemy?
My name is Noel. I'm a hotelier and I'm from Donegal. We were brought up to behave in a certain way, and I've carried that into my adult life. And I'm very passionate about etiquette, because there's a better and a nicer way of doing things, and why not do them? I hope to meet someone who will challenge the way I think. Maybe it's an unreasonable expectation on my part. So in that way, it's kind of exciting. And I'm also a little nervous because I'm going to meet a total stranger, and we just have to hope that both of us will benefit greatly from the encounter.
Noel has come to the right place, so let's meet his dinner companion.
My name is Jamie, I am a tattoo artist and I am from Dublin. I think my friends would describe me as outspoken, loud and chaotic. And as well, I would think I am quite unorganized, so it's a miracle I made it here. I think closed-minded people, especially when it comes to tattooing, kind of make me angry, or people who are completely against someone express themselves a certain way just because they have a backwards way of thinking. Reality at the end of the day, it's just a drawing. I don't understand how it affects your ability to do your job good. It doesn't make me kind of angry, it makes me very angry.
Thank you.
I'm imagining a middle-aged Karen, someone who has never had any body modification or tattoos done, so I am nervous, but that's what I'm imagining. Just picturing a middle-aged woman right now who's against everything.
How's it going?
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Noel.
Jamie.
Nice to meet you.
Main motto in life is don't care about your parents and get that tattoo, so.
I suppose we all associate tattoos with different things, and I was brought up in a seaside fishing port, so, you know, you think pirates and sailors. I would honestly say that I had a slight fear of people with tattoos. Oh, what stereotype do you think you live up to?
Well, as you can probably tell, I'm pretty covered in tattoos. Being a tattoo artist and being covered in tattoos, I think people would be like, oh, he's probably a party goer, like into drugs, into drink, whatever, like a maniac, whatever. If you're obviously probably not into tattoos, but like you probably see them, probably might have that idea.
I'm not sure what he might have thought of me, but I probably thought, oh my God, this is my worst nightmare.
I'm not used to meeting stereotypical people. For example, the way you describe yourself.
Yeah.
I don't have family members, for example, who are inked in any way.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe we're all inclined to go down a road where we judge and think, oh, God. We would have considered people with tattoos as being rough or unacceptable, not just like what one might term regular society. That must be a ne'er-do-well, you know. We wouldn't have him in our hotel or...
When he said they were like near-do-well, I was like, I don't know what that word means. Kind of went over my head a little bit, but I knew it wasn't positive.
Well, people look at me and they probably, and with some justification, they think a bit flamboyant, well-dressed, conservative, probably gay. And that's a stereotype too.
I myself, I know I'm like very hardworking, and people who have like certain ideas and views on like my body or whatever I do with myself it's almost like invasive. I literally don't do anything. I don't do drugs, don't drink, don't smoke. So I don't even drink fizzy drinks most of the time as well. So I'm very reserved, I think, as well.
When people from different generations sit down for discourse, generally the younger person in the conversation can tend to think that the older person is out of touch and doesn't have their finger on the pulse of what's going on currently in society. And the older person in the conversation can diminish the young person's viewpoint because they see them as inexperienced and lacking that life experience that allows them to make informed decisions.
When people meet for the first time, they're primed to see difference as a way of keeping safe. We look at aspects such as their appearance, their dress sense, their mannerisms, how they make us feel.
Are there ways that our society is too liberal? I don't think society can become too liberal. I love that we're becoming more diverse. I love that there's an increase in representation. I love that I have 2 young children, Pat, so I hope that someday when they start dating, it'll just be a case of, oh, I'm going on a date with X, Y, or Z. I hope there's not a whole thing of coming out. I think that that's the way things should be, and that's the future.
That's your viewpoint, you know. Diversity is division. Society really should be going in the same direction, not off in different tangents.
If we were all going in the same direction, though, it would be pretty boring.
Not pretty boring. Somebody that's 12 or 13 or even younger, they're bombarded with all this, you know, gender reassignment, gender alignment. They get confused. Those children can't take those decisions at that age.
So you probably feel that things are getting a bit too diverse and too liberal, do you, Pat? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that would be fair to say, yeah.
Thank you so much. Lovely, thank you. Getting back to the question, is society becoming too liberal? So what if it is? What impact does that have on our everyday life? Why is that a bad thing?
Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against gay people,
Yeah.
right? That's their own business. What I do object to is this constant promotion of that lifestyle in the media, whether it's in dramas, documentaries, etc., etc.
And I suppose my take on that, you call it promotion, I would call it representation. So members of the LGBTQIA+ society have been around forever. It's just now that they're able to come forward and be themselves. I think that everyone should have the right to be represented on TV. And I don't worry about my children being influenced.
But the only children that, mostly the only children that there are in society are the product of a nuclear family. They're not a product of a gay couple, because gay couple can't have children. Promoting this kind of lifestyle to say that it's normal, it's not normal and never will be normal.
You know, you can't, I think, judge someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes. He's obviously had a very different upbringing to me. He believes with every conviction that he is right in his beliefs. I believe the same thing.
She sees the world through rose-tinted glasses, that everybody's good, that everybody has the best interests of society and of people in general. But it's not like that.
In this restaurant, a variety of conversations are taking place between strangers who have just met. While it may not be a blind date, it's certainly a blind debate, as each pairing has been chosen because of their differences.
People don't often engage with others with different points of view because humans have a drive for safety and predictability. To engage with someone with a different point of view actually threatens our sense of self.
I think it's very brave to take part in this social experiment, to sit down with somebody, to share your opinions, and perhaps to have your opinions challenged and maybe even changed. That takes courage.
While they wait for dinner, tattooist Jamie and hotelier Noel are getting to know each other.
Do you think you have these conceived notions about people who are heavily tattooed or have body modifications from society, or do you think that is a kind of more a internal thing?
It's a bit of both, because society teaches us to think a certain way about certain people. And in my life, in my kind of career, the way I do things, and thank you, the people I mix with, it's so alien to me to encounter people like you. And for me, sometimes it also means me just blocking you out completely in terms of maybe opportunity or possibility, because you might come in to me and I might say, oh, that's a no-no. Because I immediately judge
on the tattoos. And would you think that would be ignorant on your behalf? Do you think it's fair to judge people on their tattoos they get or body modifications?
Naturally enough, in hotels, we're on stage. It's like theatre. It's lights, camera, action, appearance, that is, we all have to wear and conform in the hotel, and that's just the way expectation is from our guests.
Like, do you think that is right in any way as well?
I never thought about it because I haven't been challenged.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nobody's ever come up to me and challenged me like you are, to an extent, challenging me today, and you're saying, well, are you being ignorant? Are you being unfair?
Yeah.
And that's what I have to think about.
Yeah.
You know.
It felt gut-wrenching a little bit because, yeah, I've been turned down from a few jobs because of my tattoos, mainly in like the service industry, like restaurants and stuff. So it does feel like a kick to the stomach.
In a sense, it is discrimination against someone, and it's like, how can you discriminate on someone just based solely on their looks?
But because I represent a situation that I have to ensure that my customers don't sort of judge you, and that reflects on me because it affects my business. Somebody like you coming in might immediately cause me to think, because of the way I'm conditioned to an extent, you know, that person just won't fit in.
Time to meet our next dinner guest.
My name is Sheila and Dr, and I'm a strong woman competitor. I am 27 and I'm from Bláithín in Wicklow. I'm passionate about female empowerment, mental health, and advocating about eating disorders. The worst person that I could meet today, someone who doesn't believe that eating disorders exist, or just somebody who is fixated on wellness and lifestyle, but in a way that's detrimental to others. I'm always open to learning somebody else's side of it, but I cannot stand someone who has such an ingrained view that they're not even willing to listen to somebody else's point of view. What I would love to get out of this is just more people talking about mental health, about eating disorders, and I'm really interested to see who is the opposite of me. The way I am, I cannot understand who would ever disagree with me on this. Like, I really can't. So I can't wait to meet somebody that might. Cheers, thank you. Thanks.
Let's see who's dining with Sheila.
My name is Eva Årsmund. I'm originally from Finland. I'm a medical doctor. I think my friends would describe me as a little bit crazy, very passionate, with a big heart. I get very, very frustrated with people who are narrow-minded and take any knowledge that it's given to them just without questioning. I feel that in today's world, common sense is not anymore common. I'm a bit nervous, but I hope that this person is going to be open-minded, and hopefully he or she is going to learn from me, and vice versa, I'm going to learn from them.
Hello, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Sheila.
My name is Eva Årsmund.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Firstly, I was like, I know her. And I actually think prior to ever doing this, I had said it would be my worst nightmare to meet her, that I just couldn't get on board with the way that she thought of things.
I was a bit surprised about my dinner date. She didn't look scary or challenging, and I was actually thinking, what's going on here? What is this all about? When people meet you, what do you think they see?
I think they would probably see the persona I put out there rather than maybe the real me initially. In that, like, I would be really polite and pleasant and happy and confident. But in terms of how I actually look, or, you know, that kind of thing, I'm not too sure.
What do you mean by you have a different view of your looks then?
I have a very negative view of how I look.
Oh, that's quite sad.
Yeah, I'm in recovery from anorexia. The whole reason that happened was I have no idea what I look like. I really don't. To the point that, like, I would often buy clothes that aren't the right sizes, whether they're too big, too small, because I have no idea what somebody sees, and it wouldn't matter what they tell me either.
Without judging, you look like you're in a good recovery, I hope. Am I correct saying that?
At the moment, I'm doing well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
When Sheila told me about her eating disorder, I felt at the same time sad and empathetic, and I just had this feeling I wish I could help her.
What do you think people think when they see you?
I would like that people would see me as friendly and approachable, but I do think that my TV persona has put a little bit of a sort of, they are like gosh, she's a bit scary, Dr. Eva. So it's almost like I don't have a chance.
When I saw it was Dr. Ava sitting opposite me, I suppose a bit of me thought back to the amount of times I've been presented in front of a medical person who just has not listened to me or has thought, yes, you're the person who has the eating disorder, but I'm the professional and I know best. I'm going to spend the dinner now convincing them that they should listen to me and that what I have to say matters.
At Bláithín and Patrick's table, they're digesting some of life's big questions.
Has the role of men changed in our society? I'll let you take this one, being the man at the table.
In ways it has and ways it hasn't. I think men play a bigger role in the household. In saying that, I think the majority of the burden is still left to women.
I agree with you. My husband is a house husband. He's full-time daddy. He does cooking and cleaning. The house is his jurisdiction. But I agree with you in that I do think still that women carry a lot of the emotional burden. I think men absolutely can take the burden of the emotional worries, the stresses. I just think traditionally they haven't.
It's more natural for the woman to deal with certain issues.
Can you give me an example?
Oh, you know, say a young girl, enough, you know, women's issues.
Periods?
Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, how can a father talk to his daughter about that? That's something for a mammy.
I think if we normalise these conversations, and I have a son and a daughter, and I'm bringing them both up, they know what periods are. They asked one day, what's this? And I said, that's for mummy's period. And I hope someday that when it comes to having that conversation with our son and daughter, we'll not really need to have it because at 4 and 5, they already know what a period is.
That's crazy. Although she's a nice person, she'd be great company out, having a pint with her, going out for the night. I just could, on the fundamentals, I could never agree with her. I could never agree with her.
What current trend makes no sense to you?
This whole body positivity trend and empowering overweight and obesity, I don't agree with that.
Because you think they should strive to be healthier?
Yes, I don't mind how people look. That's not where I'm coming from. It's the fact that I'm thinking about their health and the consequences that the overweight and obesity will bring them in years to come.
I had seen her on Operation Transformation, which is a show I have been very vocal about not liking. And I saw her as being complicit and part of that. I almost felt like the way she was so rigid in focusing on losing weight. So I kind of thought, I don't like that. When you have someone like me, I hear someone say, that's unhealthy, that treat, that's unhealthy. So I'm like, I can never, ever have that ever, ever again.
Yeah, because you would have the black and white thinking.
That was what my issue with Operation Transformation was when it was like the cutting of the Toblerone. I thought, oh my God, someone like me is like, well, now I have to always do that. I can never have a full square. Like, do you ever see someone going down my route where they get so obsessed with it and you have to try and pull them back?
It's a difficult one because in one way, people who are, let's say, very overweight, they need to lose the weight. Obviously, I'm not living with them 24/7, so I don't know, and they don't necessarily tell me all those things what you are telling me. So it's obviously very good to be aware of that because it's actually the balance.
Yeah.
Because it sounds to me like you are battling to be flexible with yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely where I am.
You see, I don't fundamentally believe that anybody who's that overweight and obese can actually be happy. Many of my patients tell me that.
So I suppose, yeah, if you're in a body where there's maybe health concerns, maybe you're not really happy despite what. Yeah, like I would think, oh, they're so happy, look at what they're putting out there, but I never thought of maybe they're doing what I do, which is the mask. Like during lockdown, everyone was going on about their 10,000 steps. I was like, great, that means I have to do 20. I was that in it. So when everyone's saying, this is very healthy for you, this is very healthy, I was like, it's not healthy for everyone though.
I've never actually thought about how anorectic people would get affected by COVID. And what was your routine like?
The times I had to eat at, what I ate. And this was all to be like, to make sure I did eat and kept going. You know, then we came out of COVID and someone said, do you want to go for a coffee? And I'd be like, no, I have to eat in half an hour, so I can't. I'm further along now and I can take these things on and put them at the back of my mind, but there was a time where I couldn't.
She really highlighted to me how it really takes over your whole life and your 24/7 thoughts, and how debilitating it really is While I did know that as a doctor, you still can't imagine how overwhelming it can be for them.
The diners in this restaurant are taking part in a social experiment to see what happens when total opposites meet for dinner. And Noel and Jamie are deep in conversation.
Did you say you were gay yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also gay myself. So I think, like, obviously, us being both gay, we both have that common ground. But, you know, there is people still in, like, the older generation, which I'm sure aren't completely accepting of us. So, in a sense, that's how I kind of feel with tattoos. Like, it's like, obviously, being gay is a lot harder than being tattooed. Like, there's no doubt about that. Being, like, having to go through all the abuse and all that for being gay. And I'm sure, like, it was probably different as well when you were my age. Maybe it wasn't as accepting as it is now.
When I was reaching that sort of, you know, early teen stage was sheer misery because I knew I was different and I suffered horrific abuse and bullying, and just I lived in an environment where if you didn't play football and were one of the boys doing all those sort of masculine things, you were marked out for special treatment, and I certainly was.
To me, tattoos are kind of like a form of self-expression. I've been like an artist my whole life. I've always been drawing and stuff. So I kind of see my tattoos as jewelry. You wear them to make yourself look better or improve yourself. And like I said, they are a form of self-expression. So like I have a tattoo of my dog here, who I obviously love very much. So I wanted to get that because it has some meaning to me. I got that from my dog because I love her so much. And then I have some braille on my wrist. It's the year I came out, which was 2016. Some Chinese writing, which my dad actually drew for me. So he's really cool with the tattoos now. So it just basically means stay happy, because I think everyone deserves to be happy. So that's how I kind of feel. I feel like a walking canvas almost. It's a collection of artwork. And I think if you're a lover of art and everything, it's definitely like a collection that you can appreciate, especially when you're older as well.
And what about when you get older? How does body art age?
Yeah, that's always like the topic of debate. People are always like, what are you going to look like when you're 70? But realistically, like at that age, I'm not going to really care about my appearance anyway.
But that's an assumption on your
part.
Well,
that is an assumption, yeah, sure.
I mean, I'm perilously close to the figures we're throwing out there.
Yeah, well, you're looking great, so.
And it means an awful lot to me because I have to look reasonably well for what I do.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I don't think you kind of grow out of that lifestyle. It's kind of like yourself. You're kind of into like your luxury stuff, the way you dress and everything. That's your kind of lifestyle. But for people with tattoos, that's kind of our lifestyle. So when you're older, I think you're still going to be you're just going to have to rock it, aren't you? Just going to have to live with it.
So my bow tie is my tattoo.
Yeah, that's essentially it.
I'd nearly be tempted. No, I'm not.
No, you should get one.
No, I'm not. Talk about stereotypes or perceptions. They would say, you'll never believe it, Noel Cunningham has a tattoo. It would make the local paper. Probably my family would die of shock. They would genuinely... They would die. Okay. They would say, Noel, what did you do that for? You're going to lose your job. Yeah. You know, why did you do that?
Back with Dr. Ava and Sheila, they're not shying away from big topics.
Sheila, should children be educated about food in primary school, in your opinion?
Yes, but in a responsible way. You know, I had a teacher once who said, none of you should eat bagels or rolls at lunch because that's going to make you fat. And that was it for me. I was like, oh, OK, you can never eat a bagel or a roll again. So that was irresponsible to speak about food within the education system. And this was a teacher, so I respected what she said. What do you think?
No, I totally agree with you that, yes, children should be educated about food and what is healthy and calories and how to basically plan a meal and actually make sure that we are putting money in prevention and starting, like, for example, with children at school level, weigh them. Not because we want to just see if they're overweight and obese, but also to see, like, maybe they're underweight. In Finland, if you are underweight, you will get special calories added to your meals at lunchtime and your parents are informed. So there's this communication going. It's like a health check.
When I think about now about weighing children in school, I'm still torn on it. It was not beneficial for me to have weighed myself when I was young. And we know that children who have developed eating disorders very, very young, 8, 9, are obsessed with scales. Maybe there is an argument for normalising and being accepting of your weight. I would still be torn because I just know the impacts it's had on me.
What always cheers you up? What always cheers you up, Lan?
Music,
Yeah?
singing, family time.
Family should be your number one,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then obviously the people around you.
Mm.
You know, that should be,
Everything.
that's everything.
Yeah. I think no one on their deathbed has probably ever said, I wish to work more.
That's true.
Yeah. And I suppose in my line of work, I have been privileged to, help people have a peaceful death, and that really has helped put things into perspective for me, even at my, tender age of 35.
You can be funny about that or humorous about that because maybe in your line of work you've seen that.
Mm.
Like, I've only been present.
Take your time. Let it out. Up, Pat.
I was only present on one occasion when somebody died. I found it very traumatic.
Pat, I'm so sorry.
It was my Aunt Marie. She was nearly a second mother to me and to all our family. I just, her last breath, when you hear her last breath, she's gone.
I really felt for him when he got upset. I just wanted to get up and hug him.
She had a very hard life.
How long ago was it since she died, Pat?
Oh, I don't know, it must be 15 years ago at this stage.
I'm sure she's very proud of you.
I don't think she'd be proud. Knowing her, she'd be probably more in tune with your viewpoint.
You think we would have got on?
Yeah, oh, you got on like a house on fire.
Maybe you could think, what would Aunt Marie think? And that might make the changing world a bit easier to understand, maybe.
I don't think I'd ever change my views.
Because I want my children to know that they can grow up in a world where you can think differently than somebody and not hate them. Do you know, I think we do have much more in common than not, regardless of your heart, lungs, anatomy, whatever it might be. But like, you've experienced grief, I've experienced grief. We respond in the same way, we cry.
It's part of life.
Part of life.
Part of life.
In this day and age, people assume if you don't agree, you're wrong, and I must hate you, and that is not right. But I do also think that representation matters. We need to be represented, and that's including people that don't agree with you. I was a nervous wreck coming down here. I was afraid I was going to sit in front of some sort of Donald Trump-esque figure that was going to just shout at me the whole time. That was my worst case scenario. But it's been lovely. It's been lovely getting to know you.
Likewise. I found it refreshing to speak to somebody who has an opposing viewpoint without being immediately hammered down.
So we're practically best friends at this stage, Pat.
Yeah. Sure, after this, we'll go for a pint.
There's a famous quote. It's very difficult to hate someone close up. It's easy to hate from afar. And I think me and Pat proved that today.
We're hardwired for connection. We're mammals, which means we desire to be connected to each other. And so research shows when we're socially excluded, exclusion hurts as much as physical pain.
When we engage meaningfully with another person, we realize that there's a human being behind this point of view, that they have real reasons why they have come to this belief system. And in that way, we can start to engage in a more respectful way with them.
Back with Dr. Ava and Sheila, it's time for some more food for thought.
I can remember the numbers on the scale when I stood on it when I was 7. So there was obviously something in me that was very attuned to this at the time, so I just wonder.
But the whole thing is that I think it also depends how is it done, and if it starts in a society in a certain way. Anorexia is a different pathophysiology altogether. So it comes usually, there is a trigger. Anorexia doesn't just come from somebody, weighing them.
So many people would say, what is it, so that they could stop that from happening to them or their child. And I'm like, there was about 10 things.
But Sheila, it would be wrong if we just did not progress to weigh and measure children at schools, because we are worried that small percentage of anorectic could get affected. I don't know the exact figures, but let's say there are 200,000 overweight and obese children in Ireland, and there's 5,000 anorectic. So the fact that we don't take action to protect those 250,000 obese children and prevent them becoming obese adults. You see what I'm trying to...
I do understand what you're saying, and I suppose, yeah, because I, in the past, would have always been like, why are we always talking about that? Because of where I come from, I'm like, why aren't we protecting people like me who don't need to be exposed to that? But maybe if it was done in a way where you are educated through it, you know, maybe then it would be a positive.
That's why I find it very difficult, you know, when people are very negative, when I talk about this in public, and people are like, how dare she saying that my children would be weighed?
So I have to, because if I heard you on something saying that, I'd be like, I'm going to write to her. I'm not having it. We're not weighing children. But I probably wouldn't have waited to hear why, because I'm just so anti-scales, and I'm like, get them out of the house. But I never stopped to think of the other side.
Over dinner, Noel and Jamie are finding out even more about each other.
What do you believe in that most others don't?
Very passionate about gay rights, anything, just equal rights in general. I think we all deserve that. But I think religion, I'm not personally religious. Are you? Would you?
Yes.
You're religious? Okay.
Yes.
And how do you feel about being religious as a gay man?
Oh, now you've turned it round on me. My faith is very strong. I'm a practicing Roman Catholic. I believe God is there at every turn. I think he's ever loving, and that's key to it all. God, as long as God loves me, I'm kind of all right.
For me, I don't personally agree with it. I don't understand how someone could be gay but religious hand in hand when a lot of those religious ideas and beliefs are completely against your lifestyle. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. But then they're man-made. I mean, I see no problem in being a Catholic practicing and being gay.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
In your Catholic church, did you ever experience any like hate crimes because you were gay or anything like that?
Look, you spent your life experiencing negativity.
Yeah.
And bullying and bad treatment.
For sure.
You know, it led me down a bad path to alcoholism and whatever. But I don't blame my faith for that.
Okay.
I blame, again, that's just man's interpretation and people making rules and people, you know, in you kind of challenging me about employing somebody maybe who's inked. Again, that's me acting and reacting to the fact that that's what my business calls for, you know. And therefore I have to, after today, think, well, how do we change that a little bit?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Dr. Ava and Sheila are deep in conversation.
Would you believe that you just have to say, okay, one day at a time?
I was 23. I went into hospital for 5 weeks and they said, we're discharging you. I was like, I can't go out there. My parents were like, please don't send her home. Like, please don't. And they were like, she's not ready.
You weren't ready to...
They said I wasn't ready to get better. They said I hadn't hit rock bottom.
So you weren't ready, so you have to get ready to go actually to hospital. So they are not
And
actually...
I was in hospital and I got sent home. And
Unreal.
yeah, so
that doesn't surprise me, in fairness, at all.
Yeah, so when I hear, even like when you said you're like a doctor, I was like, the medical profession, sometimes I have issues with it. But anyway, I went out and I went to my counsellor, who was amazing, and she was like, you need to stop taking this, like, I'm going to get better in 6 weeks. You need to take this literally a bite at a time. So I went back for 12 weeks, and that was when I just said, right, every time I come to a meal, I just go bite by bite, and then I just get through it. I keep doing that until something happens.
Do you know what? This is so powerful that you are telling people about this, because this gives hope for people, hope for recovery.
Oh, thanks.
So finally, what will you take away from this experience?
Talking to you has given me an insight into why people get inked. And it's made me look more at the artistic side and the beauty of it all. I have to confront some of my prejudices and biases, and nearly out of respect, I might even get a little one, a hummingbird on my shoulder or something, and I might even go to Jamie and get that done. You know, if there's a query passed in my direction that, oh, there's a lovely young girl come in, you know, she wanted that job and whatever, but she's love on her fingers.
Yeah.
I'd say, you know what? That's okay.
Oh.
That's
good.
kind of nice.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it was such a short period of time, the fact that he's like open-minded or willing to get a tattoo now is like crazy, considering his views were completely shifted to what they were. So it is actually quite refreshing to know that like I've done maybe something positive in the world towards tattooed people, I guess.
Sitting here with you, I've definitely like been more open-minded to why you got into religion, and it is like nice to meet someone who is openly gay and is passionate about religion.
The one thing I've learned from meeting with the enemy is that even though me and Noel are completely different people, we're still very similar and we're both open-minded. It was really refreshing and nice to actually talk to someone like him.
Because it's changed my perspective that not everyone who practices religion is dickheads about it.
The one thing I learned from eating with the enemy was, deep down, I wasn't as respectful of individuality as I might have been. I was kidding myself. Well, I have to go in now to a church and light a candle for all the fabulous people who have beautiful artwork on their bodies.
And I'll attend it, so.
Yeah, and I don't think God is going to be up there judging me, as I wouldn't want to judge others either.
Of course.
And that's the reason for me wanting really to be sitting here with you today.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
For the diners, a number of aspects will be illuminated. Most importantly, that they have a lot more in common with those that they believe to be their enemies than they thought.
If we open ourselves up to another point of view, we are building new neural pathways and emerging a slightly different person.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks so much.
This
It's
is
like art, isn't it? Yeah, it's very fancy.
Has today made you think any differently?
Really has made me think differently about people that are in your types of roles. I would have been very outspoken about how anti a lot of people in the medical profession that I was, just of my dealings. But now that I've actually heard your side, I'd definitely be so much more understanding.
This has been really very positive experience, and likewise, I think I will be more careful in the future to actually mention also those minorities.
I remember I was talking to somebody else who was in treatment as well, and I said, I would just love them to listen to us. And I was talking about medical professionals because we know our illness better than anybody else. So please listen to us. I really feel listened to by you. I really do.
Just because I have a lived experience of an eating disorder and have an opinion, it doesn't mean it's impenetrable, and there is always a second side to things, and a good reason usually.
I always believe in life that it's important that there is a learning curve, and we learn new things and experience new things, and I really feel I got a lot of food for thought.